relevant do you think? Because we look at your life, you really developed by just being surrounded by the most incredible musicians, and you collaborated with the most fantastic conductors. But you really had very little training when it comes to teachers. I mean, you didn't have a rigorous kind of education, when it comes to the violin. And there is such freshness, till today. You pick up the violin, it just sounds like fresh as a flower. How relevant is really a very rigorous education with one teacher? I wonder.
You know, something very interesting just happened. My very, very first teacher was alive, the one who taught me. Her name was, I have to use the past tense, because she just passed away. Her name was Esther Greenbaum, and she was my very first teacher in Poland. A wonderful, wonderful old lady. Well, I would say that I should be very grateful to this lady, because she did not hamper me, and she did not impose when I was a child. I met her when I was about 5 years of age, and she was trying to teach me to play the violin. I already played on my own, but she was my very first teacher, and she gave me the freedom to play the way I did. She did not impose, even with the posture and the position. Yes, because I was holding my bow with my fingers any which way. I didn't know. So she set the standard, if I were to say that. She positioned my fingers, my little tiny, even smaller than it is now, when I was 5 years of age, in the same way that I'm holding the bow until this day, which is amazing. Nothing changed. So she was so intelligent and so talented to realize that this was the position that I should hold the bow, which was at the same time firm but free.
And what happened when you went to Carl Flesch? What did he do with you in terms of the actual playing of the violin, or he didn't touch anything?
He didn't. I mean, as far as the actual violin playing, I played everything when I went to study with him. Already all the most difficult. I played Kreutzer Sonata when I was about 7 years of age. So he only corrected some of my interpretation, but the actual position and the actual violin playing, he did not. He left me completely alone. Probably he felt that what I was doing was the correct way of playing the violin.
And when you had to learn a concerto or any piece in the repertoire, and you were very young, how did you approach the score?
I cheated.
No, but once you didn't cheat, when you were reading and everything, like when you were on top of everything.
Well, I did cheat, because nobody really, they assumed, most of the teachers, including Carl Flesch, assumed that I was taught how to read notes. I did not know until late in my life, I was still a child, not an adult, that one needed to count. And I failed sometimes because I didn't know what it all meant. Owing to the fact that I played so well, and I probably learned by listening to other people, so I memorized everything. But I didn't know how to read music.
I wanted to ask you a question because many times I went to performances where I just didn't like the performer. And he was a serious musician, but the music did not reach me. And then I would ask some colleagues, what did you think of that performance? And then they would say, oh, I respect him very much because he has a sense of architecture. And my response was I always said, we are not architects or engineers, music is about the soul. Music is about emotion. You know, if you're just you are just aware of the architecture, you know, then you lose sight of the real meaning of music. Of course, the architecture of the music has to be there, you know, but they intellectualize sometimes too much when music has to be more spontaneous.
That's something different. I mean, so you have to have the gift to recognize when you have to treat it like a monument or physics or a building, and when to put your soul into it. So the notes are giving you all of that information. You are either moved, and then you try to express by what you are moved, or you're not moved. If you don't have that spirit and the soul to be moved by music, forget it.
The whole purpose is lost.
Yes, defeated. Then become a dressmaker or a shoemaker.
And I think that's one of the problems why a lot of classical musicians don't reach the younger generation, because it becomes something too, not emotional enough, it becomes something too academic.
Yes, intellectual.
Intellectual, and then the young people are not interested. Don't relate, and they feel bored. But yet, you know, in my experience was that when you have an artist that really communicates, is a communicator, it doesn't matter what they play. Everybody's touched. That's why classical music is where it is today.
The truth.
There are not enough communicators.
Yes, of course.
That's the problem.
Absolutely. But music is all emotion. Exactly. If you don't feel it, if it's dry like a stick, then forget it. Then it's not music. It's only just something that you learn, like everything, like a craft. Music is art. It's not a craft. That's the difference. So then you have to relate to it in the same way. It has to move you, unless there is something that now, of course, we are faced with a different world. Some of the composers are composing things in a different way completely. So it's really not appealing to the emotions.
And that's why people are not that interested, you know. I mean, contemporary music is interesting, but it's not that appealing for the masses.
It's intellectual, it's not emotional.
Yeah. It's like a scientific study.
Yes.
It becomes like that.
A machine.
A machine.
Yeah. A machine.
Yeah.
But even a machine can be interesting sometimes.
Exactly.
Because rhythm.
Yes.
What is the, this is what I discuss very often. As you well know, as everybody knows, I don't teach. Not willingly. Under pressure. And I don't call it teaching, I call it sharing my experience and my knowledge and my opinion, etc., etc. But I keep saying, what is the first thing I asked sometimes some of the young students, what is the first thing you are looking for when you take a piece of music? Oh, they say, I don't know. Is it just to express something? I said, no. It's how much is what's in the bar to count.
Exactly.
Rhythm, which is lost these days.
Totally.
That's the most
Yeah.
fascinating,
Yeah.
intricate. Rhythm is the foundation of everything. When we walk, we have to have rhythm. When we speak, we have to have rhythm. We have to know when to stop speaking. There are some speakers on the stage who never know when to end it.
Exactly.
And then people are falling asleep and they want to scream. So rhythm and timing.
Absolutely.
Timing is of such great importance. But can you teach it? That's my question.
I think you can teach it. I think you can teach it, but I think that I'm not saying all the teachers, but most of the teaching that I see today, they don't stress that enough. That's why when I discovered the videos of Celi Bidake, I was just so fascinated, because that man just put such an emphasis on every little detail when he rehearses with an orchestra, oh my God, it's just so clear. And I don't think that that's what teachers today should do. But what happens, kids go to conservatories and the teachers are too busy with their own careers. And most of these kids, you know, I'm not saying all of them, you know, they prepare for competitions and everything by themselves, and they don't have the culture, and they don't have the knowledge to do all those things, you know. I wish we had more teachers, more people like Celi Bidaki, more people like, that's why even if you do not teach the violin, when you talk about music, you approach it like a language and it makes sense.
Well, my answer is that he was absolutely one of a kind. There is no doubt about it that he was unique. I had never met anyone before I met him of that caliber, nor afterwards, with all due respect to some of the very, very great musicians that I played with, you know, and I did have some marvelous conductors, but that kind of almost mystical level, you know, he was a Buddhist,
Yes,
and he applied everything that goes on in life to music. He thought that was all one package, and I believe it's true, because it does relate to everything.
It was very interesting to see that he wanted to work actually with groups that were not really that professional.
Yes.
Or there's a DVD where he rehearses for a requiem with an unprofessional chorus, you know. And it's just so miraculous.
The Fauré Requiem?
The Fauré Requiem, which is unbelievable. And then it's incredible.
Unforgettable.
And these people that are not even professionals get the message.
Yes, yes. Well, that's the idea.
They get the message, or he gets a group of kids that are not really that fantastic, and at the end of the day, they play with such a level.
Well, you see,
because it's so clear. It's actually very simple. And you
yes,
know,
you're so right.
and then your ideas, the way you approach music, or the way he approached music, they are very concrete and simple ideas. You know, it's really like reading really what's on the screen, interpreting what's there to the greatest detail. Not just giving images, you know, play this with a lot of feeling, or play this with imagination, or play this, you know, with a sad kind of a mood. And I always ask myself when I go to master classes, what does that mean?
yes.
Be mystical or be sad. What does that mean? It means nothing. Because that's not concrete information.
But how do you teach that? This is what we keep saying, that you can teach everything except talent.
But it's not teaching, it's really having somebody very, very, very gifted and just making that person aware. But you just make them more aware.
There you are. You
Exactly.
just mentioned the
Yes.
most important thing, the talent.
And a good teacher takes that talent and makes
Yes.
them more aware, so that the talented artist
Right.
just keeps searching on his own.
Exactly. So as we say, it takes two to tango.
Yes.
You have to have the student who has the talent in the first place, and you have to have the very wonderful teacher to develop it and not to destroy it, to know, because there are some teachers who are so self-centered that they think that's the only way, and they don't want to respect somebody else's approach. But as I said, for me, it was never a problem. Only not too long ago, somebody came to me and said, how to play this, how to interpret it. So this person said, well, I don't know. I don't know. I want you to tell me. I said, you already have the best teacher. So this person said, oh, you mean you? I said, oh no, I don't mean me. I mean the score. It's right in front of you. That's the best teacher. Try to be as faithful as you can to the score, with a little bit of your own spirit, obviously. You have to add something. You know, notes are just notes, but you have to understand the note.